Can you wait? Back.
Okay, so yes. So yesterday what we have done is we have tried the third method of uploading the data, that is using BAPIs. We have uploaded the data using call transaction method, uploaded the data using session method, and then we have uploaded the data using BAPI method. What exactly do we do in the BAPI method? So in the BAPI method, the primary focus is to identify a valid BAPI which can upload the data that we want to do. In simple terms. Okay, suppose I want to upload material data into SAP. I have to search for or spot for a BAPI which can do the same for me. So what exactly a BAPI is? A BAPI is nothing but a function module. Okay, in simple terms, a BAPI is a function module. A BAPI is a remote enabled function module which is provided by SAP. It's a standard function module. It's not that we are creating it. So BAPI basically stands for Business API. BAPIs were basically designed by SAP to allow external applications to access business process within the SAP system. That was the core purpose why SAP developed these business objects and the BAPIs and all those things. Okay, the BAPI were never designed to do data load. They were not designed to do write conversion programs. They were designed for external applications to access the SAP programs and execute things inside SAP. So you'll always notice that a BAPI function module will be a remote enabled function module. So what do you mean by remote enable? Remote enable means a function module which can be accessed, or function modules which can be called from outside of SAP. Okay, the BAPI function module will be always a remote enable. That means they can be accessed remotely from outside of SAP. Okay, so the major challenges that you would face when you are working with a BAPI is to figure out how to get the data populated into the BAPI. Okay, what are the parameters, or what are the importing parameters, what are the exporting parameters which I should populate so that the BAPI will actually save the data into the system. So that is one challenge. Another challenge is when we are trying to move or push the data that is coming in a file into the SAP system. When you pick up a BAPI to post the data, the key thing to remember is make sure that all the fields that are coming in the file, gets mapped onto the BAPI. Right? That is very important. I have a BAPI which will take only, say 90% of the fields that are coming from the file. And what you will do with the remaining 10%? Every single field should get mapped. Every last field should get mapped. So when you are reading the contents of the file and trying to push it into the system, you cannot ignore fields. All the data should get pushed into the system. They should be mapped to some field into SAP, and the data should get passed into SAP. Okay, we cannot say that okay, some 10 fields are mapped, that is enough. The rest of the field you can forget about it. You cannot do that. So when BAPIs are picked up for posting, you should always remember that all values are getting mapped correctly or not. Okay. As I was telling, a BAPI is it's a remote enabled function module. Normally our function module will be a normal function module, but BAPIs will be remote enabled. RFC function module, we say RFC, remote enabled function module, or a remote function call as it is called, RFC. So the advantage of being an RFC is that it can be called from outside of SAP, can be accessed from outside of SAP by using an RFC connection. And that is how these BAPIs are called. So as I was telling, the business object or the BAPI is defined as a method within the business object. How do I see that? So SWO1 is the transaction for business object builder. This is where you can see business objects. Okay, so is there any sample? Now, I need to know what are all the business objects that are there. There is one more transaction called a BAPI. There is one transaction called a BAPI. It's BAPI Explorer. So we can go to this particular transaction called a BAPI and search for BAPIs by functional area or by business domain. Okay, as I was telling, to figure out or identify the BAPI is a challenge. How do you know what BAPIs are existing? As a technical consultant, the easiest way is to go to SE37. What we did yesterday, go to SE37 and in the function module search for all function modules starting with BAPI star. Okay, another method that is available is to search for BAPIs by functionality. So I want to upload material. So let us search where is material master data. Functionally, where do you have material? Material, standard material. So this is your business object, standard material. So this is the business object number. If you copy this business object number, go to the transaction SWO1. So you can see your business object here. You can see events, methods, interface. This is your business object has been designed as a or using the object-oriented principles or using the concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay, so you have the methods, attributes, key fields, interfaces. All these things are defined into the business object. If you open up the methods, inside the method you can see so many different methods are there. All these methods are nothing but BAPI. Like you have save data is one method. Double click on save data. You go to the ABAP part. You will notice that it is nothing but the BAPI. BAPI underscore material underscore save data. So inside the business object, the BAPI is represented as a method. Inside the business object, the BAPI is represented as a method. So BAPI underscore material underscore save data. Okay. The BAPI underscore material underscore save data. This is how the BAPI will be represented, or BAPI save reply or whatever. Most of these things are all BAPIs only. So when an external application is accessing the business object, for that business object the BAPI is just a method. It will call this method and pass the parameters for the method. Internally inside the SAP system, it will be actually a function module that is running. So this is designed in this way. You may be thinking, why is it all complicated? That was designed that way. The business objects were designed that way because when business objects were introduced into SAP, SAP ABAP was not object oriented. The concepts of object oriented programming was not yet introduced into ABAP. So the idea of classes and objects and methods and all were not there in ABAP programming. So SAP utilized the standard procedural program only and created an object-oriented framework. The business object is an object-oriented framework. So that's the idea. Okay. So coming back to what we were doing, so once your BAPI has been identified, once you have identified what is the BAPI that you have to use, okay, so you can use the Business Explorer. Here also it's the same story. Business Explorer is save data. If you use the BAPI save data, it will come up over here. So once you have identified, you can see the name of the BAPI. So this way you can search for the BAPI. So once you have identified your BAPI through some functional process or through SE37, whatever it is, the next key task is to identify what are the parameters that needs to be populated in order to get the data pushed into SAP and get the object created. So I want to create the material. I should know what are the basic parameters that I have to populate so that the material gets created. Once that has been identified, it's just about calling the BAPI for your advantage. Okay. So while dealing with BAPI, you'll always come across the return parameter. It's a very important parameter. Because BAPIs are remote enabled function modules, they do not have exceptions. So if there are any errors that occur while posting the data, the system is not going to throw any exception. Okay, the system is not going to throw any exception. All the errors will be captured and put into this return structure or return internal table and given back to you. So you can read through the return structure and figure out whether it went wrong or it was successful and what is the message that has come out and utilize that information. Okay. Now when we are writing any conversion program, now if you look at this particular conversion program or a data migration program, even interfaces also, what are the key activities that we have to ensure that we are following? One of the activity we have taken care of. We have ensured that the user is allowed the option for presentation as well as application server. We have provided F4 help for the user so that the user can pick up the file. Okay. And we have given different methods to load the data into the system. Basic selection screen is more or less okay. Maybe you can align it much more neatly, but otherwise the selection screen is capable of most of the information. Once you accept the file, what is the next task we are doing? We are reading the data from the file, processing the file and then posting the data. Imagine that when you post the data, there are errors. Okay, when we post the data into the system, we are facing errors. So when we are facing errors, what we are going to do? What are we going to do with the error record? What is the plan with the error record? So error handling is one of the key activities that we have to take care of when we are writing conversion programs. The records which are going wrong or the records which are facing errors should be moved into an error file so that the errors can be rectified and the data can be posted again. So we cannot ignore records which are going wrong. Okay, they may have gone wrong because one or two fields are incorrect. So we cannot ignore them. So we have to correct the errors and then push it back again. So the common practice used for error handling is to download all the error records into an error file and then post the data into the system, correct the file and then repost the data into the system. So we have to repeat this process of capturing the errors and reposting it after correction till all the records get posted into the system. Okay, especially for a conversion program, you cannot ignore records. All records have to come into the system. You're moving everything from legacy into SAP. So when you are doing that, you cannot ignore. Oh, okay, I have pushed 1000 records, 950 has come, 50 failed. Forget about 50 records. Because you want to care for 50 records. You cannot think like that. Till the last record is not moved in, we have to keep on trying to push the data. Okay, so error handling is a key activity that we do with respect to conversion programs or interface program, with respect to migration programs. Now, what are the places where you can handle the error? Generally, we can do pre-validation as well as post-processing. Pre-validation is even before you post the data into the system, even before we post the data into the system, you can capture the errors. What do? You validate the contents, you validate the data, and then if there is any error in the data, you identify the error and then move the record into error. That's pre-validation. Post-processing is you push the data into the BDC or the BAPI or whatever. So if there are any error values in the data, obviously it will error out. Right, the error records will come out. So you take the error data and then push it into the error file. Okay, so why do we go for pre-validation is to cut down on the processing time. See, when you know something is wrong, then what is the idea of sending it to the transaction to be posted? And I know that the record is wrong, it makes no meaning to push it through MM01. Yeah, it is wrong. So, okay. So, pre-validation and post-processing. These are the two activities that we need to do to ensure that we are able to push the data into the system. Okay. So, let us try to have an error file. First thing to do is we will have an error file path. Okay, I have an error path. IT underscore E file is the internal table in which I will move all my error records. And I would have one more that I will show it as IT underscore E log. The E log internal table will have the error messages. Okay, the E file will have the same structure as the input file. The E log will have the key fields and the error messages. Okay, so let us add two more structures over here. So why two structures? One for downloading the error file itself as it is. The way the input file is, same way the error file. Only thing is error records will be there. E log will be the log file. It will have the error messages. Okay, one field, two field, three field, multiple fields can go wrong. So all the messages will be there in the log file. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Okay, so for the break, so where were we? We were at error handling. So what I have done, I have created one error file to capture all the error records and one error log file to capture the error messages. Okay, so what else? So after process data, all the records that you want to process is in ITMAT. Now I have to check one record at a time, or all the records has to be checked, and whichever record is having any error, I need to move those records so that those records are not processed. Okay. So what we will do, so anyhow there is a loop which is running, which is processing individual records. So in this loop we will say perform pre-validate material. Okay, using w_mat and changing it_e file and it_elog and lv_flag will take some error flag, e flag. Okay. Okay, so the first task is pre-validation. How do you pre-validate? Now, this is my file. We are having material number, industry sector, material type, description and base unit of measure. If you look at this, almost all the fields can be pre-validated except for description. I can validate whether the material is already created. I can check whether the industry sector picked up is correct or not. I can check whether the material type picked is correct or not. I can check whether base unit of measure entered is correct or not. If any of these values are incorrect, that makes no sense to post that record. So out of the 5 fields, 4 fields can be validated. 4 of the fields can be validated. Okay. So let us do 1 or 2 fields validation. So sometimes what happens is the conversion program becomes really hectic and boring, very lengthy. Why? Your file is having some 70-80 fields and almost 60-65 fields can be pre-validated. So you would be simply writing pre-validation logic for 2-3 days. Every day you will come, you will continue writing pre-validation logic, field by field, field by field, field by field. You will not ignore them. You have to get them written. If material number is initial, then I'll set the error flag. And separate the messages by semicolon. So concatenate material number missing into this. Okay. Else, if the material number is present, then I have to check whether the material is already existing or not. So select single partner from Mara into LB underscore partner, where ATNR is equal to E underscore W underscore mat hyphen. If the material number is already existing, that is if psi sub RC is equal to 0, the material is already existing, P underscore LV underscore E flag is equal to X and concatenate material already existing. Why I go for concatenate is because as we keep validating individual fields, the messages keeps growing. The more than one field can go wrong. So it will concatenate all the messages together. Into LB underscore MSC separated by semicolon. Individual messages are separated by semicolon. Okay. So that is validation of material. Next one. Validate industry sector. If E underscore W underscore mat hyphen MBR research is initial. So how do you validate industry sector? So you have to go to the database table SE11 Mara 134 or something, T134 something is a table in which all the industry sectors are maintained. T137. If psi sub RC is not equal to 0, that means if the industry sector is not there in the table, it's a clear indication that the industry sector that you passed is incorrect. Invalid industry sector. So this way you need to do the validation for all the fields which can be validated, which can be pre-validated, the industry sector, material type. What are all the fields that are there? it can be pre-validated, should be pre-validated. Okay, so once all the pre-validation is completed, you have to check whether there are any errors or not. How do I check? If LV underscore MSG is not initial, that means error messages are there. I will say append P underscore WA underscore mat to P underscore IT underscore E5. Oh. No, we cannot append like this. Nah? Mat is having individual fields. It has to be concatenated into the file structure. Yeah. If error is there, I will say here WA underscore file concatenate P underscore W underscore mat hyphen METNR. So our file is a comma separated file, right? First field MVRSH, second field MVRSH MTART, third field MAKTX, fourth field MEINS, fifth field. Concatenate all these things into W underscore file hyphen field separated by comma, right? Our file is a comma separated file. First field comma, second field comma. So W underscore mat was having the data split into individual fields. So now I'm clubbing them all together and then append W underscore file to P underscore IT underscore E5. So error file is taken care of. Now we have to create the error log file. So again I'll say clear W underscore file concatenate P underscore W underscore mat hyphen METNR and LV underscore MSG. I'll concatenate the message and the material number. That one key field is enough. Try to have all the fields into W underscore file hyphen field separated by comma separated file hyphen. Append W underscore file to P underscore IT underscore E log. Okay, so this will ensure that the error log is taken care of. Back in the main program, if LV underscore flag is not initial, that means if the pre-validation has failed. See, we have taken a variable called LV underscore flag. Inside the logic, every time there is an errorless scenario, I am setting the flag to X. There is an errorless scenario, I am setting the flag to X. So back in the loop, if the flag is not initial, continue. Continue will do what? It will come back into the loop without processing further, right? From this point, the control will come back to the loop. It will not process anything below it. So that will ensure that the error record is not getting processed. Okay, so that is as far as your pre-validation is concerned. So let us check whether this pre-validation will work or not. Okay, both these materials are already existing. Along with that, one more wrong data I push in. Let's see what happens. Any method is same, doesn't really matter, because anyway both the records will fail. See, your IT math is having these two records. So now what am I doing? I'll say pre-validate. Control comes inside. If material is initial, no, material is not initial, so it will come to the else part. Size of RC check. So you will notice that size of RC is 0, indicating that the material is already existing. So control comes inside. Material already existing. MBRSH check, size of RC equal to 0, so industry sector is correct. Append. So now your IT, where is it? Now your IT file, this is the error file, will have one error record. See, the error file is exactly same as my input file. The data is separated by comma into a single field. So that is why I am rebuilding it. That is why I am doing concatenate and then pushing it into the error file. Now the control comes back. So E flag is not initial, yes it is not initial. So what will happen? Continue. Continue will bring the cursor back into the loop, you see. Further break out of the loop, continue will continue the loop without continuing further processing of the loop. Again you will come back, again goes inside, again material is already existing. Now this time around industry sector is also wrong. See, size of RC is 4. Even your industry sector has gone wrong. Concatenate. Now you look at the error log file, how it has got created. You see, for this particular record, material is already existing, semicolon, invalid industry sector. So all the errors are concatenated together. That is the idea. All the errors are concatenated together. We are clubbing the errors together so that you have a singleton error. Okay, so this is your pre-validation process. So once the pre-validation is completed, if there are no errors, then the control will continue with BDC recording or whichever the further method that you have chosen. So when we, in our next session, what we'll do, we'll look at post-processing. You are posting the data using call transaction and anything goes wrong. You are posting the data using BAPI and something goes wrong. How do you come to know about the errors? How do you handle the errors? Okay, once all these errors are identified and captured into the error log file and the error file and all, then we go for downloading of the errors. Are you getting? This is the standard process that is used for data migration programs. You can check any real-time program. This is the program should have capability to accept file from application and presentation. We have provided that. The program should do pre-validation. The program should do post-processing. The program should give multiple options to load the data. The program should be capable of running in foreground as well as in background. There are minimum requirements. Nobody is going to tell you that your conversion program should have all these things. As a good developer, you should ensure that these things are provided. See, the functional consultant, when he is writing the FS or the functional spec, he will not say that I want input from presentation, I want input from application, I want pre-processing, he is not going to tell. He will be primarily focusing on what is the input file, what are the fields of the input file, what are the mandatory fields, what are the optional fields, how we can push this data into SAP, what is the standard transaction from where this data can get pushed into SAP. So those are things the functional spec will talk about. How the conversion program or an interface program should be written is a standard the ABAP follows. It follows the standard. This is the standard. These things should be there. These elements should be there in the program. Nobody is going to tell you that it should be there. Okay, a conversion program or an interface program which does not have a download feature or download functionality of error file is crap. Or you are daydreaming what all the records of the file will get posted. It's not going to happen. You are posting files, even the best looked after file may have errors, may have issues. Okay, that's the key thing to remember. So we'll continue with the post-processing errors and then how we can download it and all those things we will see in the next session. Okay. So whenever you get time to log in into the system, take a copy of this program. See, these systems, we don't have any guarantee how long they will run. One fine morning it will be gone. So make sure that you are copying these programs. Take a backup onto some notepad or somewhere where these programs are maintained. Take the name of the program, ensure that you are copying it and saving it somewhere. Okay. I hope that the system will not go down still. Okay.
Okay, Shibu.